Hello, in this demonstration I'm going to run through how and why I created these tonal studies. This summer I drove through France. The scenery was unbelievable. Mountains stretched out for miles. Trees, rivers, fields and small towns rushed past the window. It wasn't possible to stop, so when I got back to my studio, what I had was in my memory, plus a few snapshots through the window and footage of the landscape flying past. That's amazing. When I got back to my studio, I decided that what I would do is just some really quick tonal studies based on the landscape that I'd seen and some of the photos that I had. As you can see, I've got a big piece of paper here and I've divided it up into squares. This is basically because if you want to do these quite quick sketches, you need to wait for the layers to dry before you can keep working on them. So it's better to have a situation where you can do more than one at a time, because otherwise the drying time can make the process quite frustrating. Before I did this one, I did another one where I divided the paper into even smaller sections, and I did these tonal studies really quickly, just trying to hold the brush really loosely, not being precious about what I was doing, not worrying about how they turned out, and just knowing that perhaps there would be even just one or two things within them that I liked, or one or two compositions that I decided to take, that I could take further into a more finished painting. I think this is just a really good exercise to do if you're sort of coming back from a trip and you're wanting to get into a subject, or if you're stuck on what to do, or if you just want to practice some watercolor, and you just want to loosen up and give yourself some ideas and some references to look at as you take your project further. Or not, you might just do them as little sketch paintings in their own right. Okay, so back to the process of how I made these little sketches. So I'm just holding the brush really loosely and I'm getting some quite watered down paint on my brush. Now for this one I'm using a mix of indigo and sepia. For the first smaller ones I used Paynes grey, so you can just experiment with whatever colours you like. I thought for the second one it would be interesting to try out two colours. I think I actually ended up preferring the Paynes grey, but anyway, it's all just experimentation, so it doesn't really matter. So what I'm doing here is I'm holding the brush really lightly and just quite quickly painting in an outline of a mountain, and I'm really just being quite loose about what I'm doing. I'm not worrying about it too much. I'm consciously sort of using slightly different techniques on each of the different squares, just to be really experimental and to hopefully come up with some results that might even be more unexpected and can give me ideas for future reference. Okay, so here I'm leaving some white paper because I'm going to draw in a river, a tree-lined river in the foreground of this one. And I am referring to the previous paintings I did, the slightly smaller ones in Paynes grey, because I picked out 4 that I particularly liked, or 3 that I particularly liked, and then the 4th one a kind of mix of a few different ideas within those previous small paintings. Okay, so for this one the paint has got a bit more sepia in than the indigo blue. Again, I'm just doing this purely for experimentation. I'll decide at the end whether it's worked or not. Okay, so a bit of time has gone by and these are dry now, so now I can put a sort of slightly darker tone in front of the lighter background. I'll just turn the music up for a little bit here. And here I'm going to start adding even darker tones, here in the foreground, and then along here as if there's trees along the river. I quite like these kind of rainbow shaped clouds that I did in a previous one, so I'm just trying to replicate that there. Now for this one down here, I really liked one of the previous ones I did, and it was literally just two sort of tones, a lighter one in the background and a dark one in the foreground, and it literally looked like two kind of brush strokes. So that's what I'm trying to replicate here. Actually, I think I ended up preferring the previous one, but at the end I'll compare those two. Okay, so while I finish these off, I'm just going to put the music up in the background. Okay, so they're finished now. I'm just going to take the tape off, and then afterwards I think I'll cut them into 4 separate paintings. Okay, so that's what I've done here. Now, they probably need flattening a bit, and I could do that by wetting the back and putting them under some books. So anyway, let's have a look at what we've got. Okay, so this first one isn't my favourite one, but I do really like how the cloud looks like it's coming in front of the mountain here. It's probably a bit too much dark down there. These clouds I like, but I think they could possibly be a bit lighter. Okay, so this one down here with the tree-lined river, I'm pretty happy with that, and I think I want to explore that a bit further. This one here with the the impression of two mountains, actually I think I preferred the first one I did. I've got it here. It just looks a bit more loose and spontaneous. It looks like two really simple brush strokes. I think the same thing comparing these two. I think the one on the left looks looser and a bit more interesting than the one on the right. I mean, I like both of them, but this has got something in its simplicity that I really like. I think probably overall the first ones I did in the Paynes grey have a slightly more interesting and spontaneous feel to them. I feel like that is more how we see sometimes, especially if you're moving through a landscape. You get impressions of shapes which become quite abstracted, and your mind fills in the rest. In my landscape paintings, I also like the idea that I'm trying to paint the memory of a place and not an exact replication of it. Anyway, I really hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial or demonstration of these quick tonal studies, and maybe give it a go yourself. And if you've got any questions, then leave a comment, and if you like the video, then please hit like, and if you want to see similar videos in the future, then please subscribe to my channel. Okay, thank you, bye.